How are you, John Parker?
Gary, man, I'm doing great. Beautiful Friday in the fall. What could be better right now?
Not much. And we're headed into another college football Saturday. And by the way, today, folks, if we're going to throw a little something new into the program, if you want to ask John Parker a question yourself, we'll let you do so. You can call in on the Bud Light Hotline presented by Adams Beverages at 205-342-9904, 205-342-9904. If you want to talk to John Parker, call in. James will put you on hold, and we'll let you ask him a question. All right, last week, before we move on to Arkansas, the Kentucky game, John Parker, I thought for the first time in the first half of that game, I saw a little bit of uncertainty with Jalen Hurts. He missed some throws, and he also seemed to miss some receivers that were running open. Now, he settled down in the second half and had an excellent second half. But in that first half, I thought he was a little shaky. You agree?
Yeah, he definitely settled down as the game went on. I think it's 5 games into the season. It's easy for us to forget that he's still a true freshman back there,
right.
trying to figure out and see different things. And now, defenses are throwing a lot at him. They are throwing a lot of different coverages, especially in the secondary, doing a lot of different things just to try to confuse him. And I think the good thing about him is he settled down and figured it out. At the same time, I think I liked what we were doing on offense. We were expanding the playbook a little bit, throwing some more down-the-field passes, more shots in, and those just come with repetitions. And the more we can get out there, and especially in games, talk about some good work out there, facing an SEC opponent, getting to push the ball downfield, trying to connect. And the more you can do it, the better you get. And, 1 or 2 of those a game, those down the field, we call them explosive plays of 20, 30, 40 yards, change field position, change momentum, put points on the board, and leads to more victories.
There's no doubt about it. And this receiving core, we've talked a lot about it. It is talented, but there's no doubt. As good as Calvin Ridley is, as fast as Robert Foster is, as good as going over the middle and catching balls in traffic as Gary Dieter is, Ardarius Stewart was missed. He brings a toughness. He's a good blocker. He gets a lot of yards after the catch. He should be back tomorrow night. How much have they missed Ardarius Stewart?
Big time. I think you can see just his presence on the sidelines. It's even more magnified when you can go out there on the field and affect the guys that you're playing with. Because, it's easy to call him the number 2 receiver behind Calvin Ridley, but he's really not a number 2 receiver. He'd be a number 1 receiver in just about any school. Athletic, makes plays. And like you said, does a lot more than just catch the ball. He moves around in the backfield. He blocks. Scrappy, athletic guy. I think when you have Calvin Ridley at one side, Ardarius Stewart at the other, O.J. Howard line up at tight end, good luck if you're the defensive coordinator trying to dial up the right blitz or coverage, because that's when you have to get vanilla as a play caller, because there's so many weapons on the field for Alabama when all those guys are healthy.
Yeah, a lot of options for Jalen Hurts. More on that in a moment. Right now, though, let's go to the Bud Light Hotline presented by Adams Beverages. Cooper's on hold, wants to talk to you, John Parker. How are you, Cooper?
It's not Super Joe. No, it's Super Joe on the phone. No Super.
Well, they didn't put Super Joe up on the board. They said they put Cooper up on the board. My apologies, Super Joe. Go ahead.
That's all gravy, man. Hey, John, how you feeling today, man?
I'm great. Super Joe, how are you?
It's all great, but I'll tell you what, one thing I can say about you, I know a lot of people criticized you when you first were starting your sophomore year, and I'm at the UA, but one thing I saw in 2008, I saw the best John Parker Wilson I ever seen. I tell you, when you got my respect, I'll go ahead and fess up. I'm a former Auburn fan, and I used to be one of your biggest critics. But I tell you what, when I saw in 2008, I said that I didn't think y'all were going to beat Georgia that year, but my father said y'all could. But that's when I saw the best John Parker Wilson and all through those games, and plus the way you stepped it in there and the way you went up there and took guts and took big leadership against LSU. I figured y'all could beat LSU, and I'll tell you.
All right, Super Joe, you got a question here, or just
yeah? Okay. I got a favor. Which offensive coordinator worked with you the best out of who helped you? Which offensive coordinator you the best? John Parker Wilson, you are. What was your take on that? How was Jim McElwain working from you different than Dave Rader or Major Applewhite? How was it different?
Well, I appreciate those comments. Means a lot. Really appreciate that. To be able to win those big games in 2008 definitely helped turn around Alabama and get to back where all the Alabama fans thought and knew we should be. But talk about offensive coordinators, yeah, I had a ton. So I had Dave Rader, who recruited me, had Major Applewhite there for 1 year, and then Jim McElwain for my final season, 2008. I think they were all different. You know, Coach Shula and Coach Rader, the quarterback coach and offensive coordinator there my first few years, were definitely instrumental in teaching me about the game. You know, learning the ins and outs, the technicalities of defenses, and you know, more than just knowing it's more than just having a big arm or being able to run around. It's taking apart defenses and being able to be a surgeon back there. And then Jim McElwain, I mean, can't say enough about the guy. He did so much for me developmentally, getting ready for that season and improving as a quarterback. But I'm talking about the whole team. He affected everybody, not just offense, but defense, special teams. Guys that respected him, loved him, you know, wanted to run through a wall for him. When I was a little upset when Florida hired him, because I can't help but pull for the guy and wanted to be successful. A great coach, a great guy, and really, I think took what Coach Saban was trying to do, knew what he wanted to do, and went out there and empowered all of us to be better players. And I think it showed up in 2008 when we went out there and won 12 straight games. Absolutely,
no doubt about it. All right, if you want to call in and talk to John Parker the way Super Joe did, you can at 205-342-9904 on the Bud Light hotline. All right, let's jump into what's ahead. The Kentucky game's in the rearview mirror. The first 5 games are Alabama's 5-0, ranked number 1 in the country. But a different kind of test this week, John Parker. This will be the first time, and we'll start with Alabama's offense against Arkansas's defense, and then we'll flip it over. But for Alabama, offensively, they are going to go into another hostile environment, much like Oxford, Mississippi, against a defense that, while it's given up some yards and given up some points, they've got a good front. They can get after the quarterback. I don't think there's any doubt that they're going to do everything they can to stop the run and put the heat on Jalen Hurts to make plays. You mentioned the downfield passing game against Kentucky. How important is it if Arkansas loads up the box and commits to stopping the run that Hurts make them pay going over the top?
Yeah, I think that's what they're going to do. And, you know, that's what defenses have shown thus far in the season is they're going to try to stop the run and make us beat us with the pass. Jalen's been able to do that. And I think more than anything, you know, he's thrown a bunch of touchdowns. He's second in the team and rushing yards, which, you know, says a lot about a quarterback as much as they're asking him to do. But he's protected the ball. He's thrown 1 interception. It came against USC early on. You know, one of those throws that you could have made in high school, and I think he quickly realized and learned from it that it's a different game up here. And he's taking care of the ball. You know, I look for Arkansas to try to do a lot of different, show him a lot of different looks. Show Jalen, you know, cover 2, cover 3, cover 6, cover 4, all these different coverages with different blitz, just to try to get back there and get some pressure on him. Because when he can move the pocket and have some time, he's shown that he can deliver the ball. So for Arkansas's defense, it's about creating turnovers. Just like we've been so productive on our defense of creating turnovers and making them pay. So scored in 7 straight games now on defense or special teams. That's a game changer. When you can create those turnovers and it goes for both sides, it really affects the outcome of the game. I wish I had stats on it, but it's something, you know, if you're +2 in the turnover battle, your win percentage goes up to 80-90%. It's pretty astronomical when you can create those turnovers, how your chance of winning goes up.
John Parker Wilson appears each week courtesy of the WHMZ Group at Morgan Stanley in Tuscaloosa, with offices also in Birmingham and Atlanta. If you want to secure your financial future, give them a call to set up an appointment or a consultation today at 205-344-8443. All right, we're going to get into Alabama's defense facing that powerful downhill running Arkansas offense in a moment. But first, let's go back to the Bud Light hotline and welcome in Gino to the program. Gino, you're on with John Parker Wilson.
What's going on, guys?
How are you?
Doing all right.
Good.
Hey, JP, I know you being a former quarterback, you understand how important the offensive line is, and I think ours is really starting to gel, that they've got the personnel and everything kind of where I feel like they need to have them. But, you know, you got Ardarius Stewart coming back, and you've got Damian Harris coming back, you know, which, you know, them being hurt, you hate to see any players hurt, but it's given the other guys, as far as the Josh Jacobs and the B.J. Evans, and, you know, kind of giving Calvin Billy another go-to guy as far as for Jalen to be able to kind of mesh and get some continuity with and such. But if you look at it with all this coming back and everybody being healthy, especially on the defensive side as well, I can't name of an offensive, and I feel like that's what it's going to take. It's going to take an offensive line that's going to be able to contain Alabama's defense long enough to give them an opportunity to do anything. I don't think Arkansas is going to do it. I think just like Texas A&M sit there and exploited him because they just beat the best out of Allen last weekend, and then you got Tennessee coming up. I feel like that is their weakness in their offensive line. I'll just let y'all comment on it, but I think we're going to sit here and handle both of them pretty severe.
All right, Gino. Yeah, thanks for the call. John Parker, Alabama's defensive line. You think they can exploit Arkansas's offensive line and put a lot of heat on Austin Allen?
Yeah, I really do, because I think, if you're going to beat Alabama, you're going to have to throw the ball. I just don't think you can line up and say, our offensive line is better than Alabama's defensive line. I just don't see it happening. And I think our defensive line is so good because we're rushing with only 4 people. We're affecting the passer with only rushing sometimes only 3 defensive line. So the linebackers can drop in coverage. Obviously, the safeties are dropping in coverage. When you have that many people deep, it makes the throwing lane so much tighter, and that's why we're seeing these sacks and guys forcing the ball because the pocket's collapsing so quick, and other teams are having to blitz 2 linebackers and sacrifice that to try to get to the run or to the passer. Jonathan Allen, Dalvin Thomas, and those guys up front are getting pushed up the middle without having to blitz the linebackers, and that's so big. And on our offensive line, I think, early on in the year, everybody's talking, we can't run the ball. What are we doing? We can't pass protect. What are our guys doing? We need to get new offensive line. But, we got some young guys up there. We got 2 returning starters, but everybody else is new, playing in new positions, working with new guys. It takes reps to be able to have continuity up front, where that we're going to block this nose tackle and we're going to double team up to the linebacker. It takes reps, and we're seeing that before our eyes happen is we're getting better. Each week those offensive linemen have gotten better working together. Now we're running the ball more, and definitely pass protection's improved. And I think it's just those repetitions that they've gotten up front together.
I want to play devil's advocate a little bit on the Arkansas offense, and this is where we were going to go before the phone call. For Alabama, it's been a evolution of sense. Now, don't get me wrong, they still got big, powerful guys. We know that, but they've had to get different personnel in to defend all these spread teams. Now, all of a sudden, you're going up against a team that's going to kind of play you in a phone booth a little bit, and I understand about putting heat on Austin Allen, but you also have to respect the play action. You have to respect their run game, the screen game, and then, if they can suck you up in there and get you concerned about the run, Austin Allen's capable of beating you over the top. This is a different type of offense. Alabama really hasn't faced one like this so far this season, have they, John Parker? It's a different kind of challenge.
So true. So true. They are, I guess you could call it old school now. They're going to line up in the eye with a tight end, 2 tight ends, run the ball, do the typical pro-style offense, play action, drop back, throw the screen. And now that, our defense has evolved also. So most of the teams in the SEC have gone to the spread. But Arkansas and really LSU are still the tried and true old offense. And I think you have a different game plan going in against a team like this. But Austin Allen's been able to do some things in the passing game, I think, above and beyond what Arkansas is used to. Usually we think of Arkansas, they're going to be a ground and pound, and it's just going to be 3 yards in a cloud of dust and long 10, 12-yard plays. I mean, Austin Allen's averaging over 250 yards a game passing, put up some big numbers against TCU and a comeback win against those guys. So they have the ability to do both. It's not just a running team. They've got some good receivers. They've got a big tight end. There could be troubles in the passing game just because I think they have the power on offense to move it and put up some points.
Hey, Billy called in. He didn't want to go on the air, John Parker, but he left a question for you. Basically wanted to know, he said he knows everybody enjoys playing at home, but did you get more satisfaction out of going on the road in the SEC in a hostile environment when they were laying in wait to beat Alabama and getting a win on the road and shutting up the home crowd? Did you enjoy that more than you enjoyed winning a game at home?
always enjoy winning. Doesn't matter where it's at, getting a win is as good as it gets. But going into an opposing team stadium when they got all their fans and everybody's there, and just to go in and to come out with a victory, it's awesome. Because it's a small group of people. There's only 60, 70 guys on the sideline. Just to it's your team, it's your guys, and to go in and get a victory on the road, especially at a place like Arkansas. We know how rowdy they are, and how passionate they are. To take the wind out of themselves like that and to get a victory, the plane trip home, and it's a great atmosphere, and it's a good time when you can go in there and win a game on the road.
Following up on that, we know Nick Saban's about the process. We know he's about doing things the same way, whether you're at home, whether you're on the road, whether you're playing an FCS team or an SEC team, doesn't matter to him. And I'm wondering how much he did stress that in regards to when you're playing in a hostile environment like Alabama will tomorrow night, that regardless, the field's the same, and if you're the better team, you should be the better team whether you're at home or on the road.
Sure.
Execution should have nothing to do with that. I'm assuming that was a big part of his game plan every week, was just, hey, if we're the best team, we should win regardless of conditions. Yeah,
that's exactly right. You don't really ever you prepare for it. You prepare, especially on offense, going on the road with some loudspeakers at practice. So on Wednesday and Thursday at practice, they'll be pumping in crowd noise just to try to simulate crowd noise on the road. So there's not a lot of communication that can happen, especially on the offensive side. So there's a lot of hand signals, and you have to just heighten your awareness, heighten your execution when you go on the road, just because you feed off the fans, and you're on the road just as the same as home, and that's why a home field advantage really it's a real thing. When you're at home and you're at Bryant-Denny and those fans are behind you and you make a big play and you can hear them cheering, you feed off that. And it's the same as the road. So it's really circle the wagons mentality, and you just have to heighten everything when you're on the road.
Let's get one more call in before we have to wrap it up. Let's go back to the Bud Light hotline and welcome in JR. JR, you're on with John Parker Wilson.
Good morning. Good morning, John Parker.
Good morning.
Listen, I got a question that's pertaining to a rule that's really not enforced much. It's the lineman downfield, and I'm not sure how it was played out in 07, 08, but do you think that teams actually, being that it's been a lack of being called, do they actually try to stretch that route, take advantage of that and actually deliberately break the rules?
Thank you, JR. I don't think there's any doubt, John Parker, that these spread offenses do that, right?
No question. And I don't think they're breaking the rules. They're just stretching them and using the rules to their advantage. So if you can get away with the offensive lineman, have we seen 4 or 5 yards downfield, the reward is greater of a big play than it is a 5 or whatever the penalty is, 5-yard penalty. If we get caught once and we know, okay, this line judge is going to be a little tighter, then that's when you go to the sidelines, you make your adjustments and say, okay, guys, we can't go as far downfield. But they're going to push the limit as long as they're giving it. And, this is coming – it's not going to change in the middle of the season. This is something that they talk about in the winter meetings, and they go down to Destin and have the SEC meeting. This is coming from the top, so this is the way they want the game right now. And if you're not using it to your advantage and everybody else does, then you're putting yourself behind the eight ball. So everybody does it.
Yeah, there's no doubt that's how Auburn beat Alabama in 2013. Forget the kick six. The touchdown to Sammy Coates was the old sucker play, and Cyrus Jones left his man because he read run, and they tied up the game. Real quickly, just how do you think it's going to play out tomorrow night in Fayetteville?
Just talking about execution, I think that's what we've done better and getting better at it each week. The Alabama team, they've cleaned it up. They've gotten more polished. They've gotten sharper from week to week. I don't see that changing this week. I think you go out, you've got everybody healthy. The defense is playing well. They're going to beat us through the passing game, and they're going to have some big plays. But I just think our guys on the defensive line are too much for them. I think we're 14-point favorite right now. I think it's going to be somewhere around there. I think Alabama will take care of business and get out of there with a win.
And the Tide's next two opponents after this week, Tennessee and Texas A&M, play each other in College Station. Who are you picking in that one?
Tough game. Tennessee, week after week, they've been behind and they've come back. Whether it's Appalachian State or Florida, or Georgia, last second play, they've found ways to win. And I think that confidence goes a long way. When you never count yourself out, you look at the guys on the sideline and says, hey, we can win this. We just got to keep it close. Imagine if they come out and jump out on a team and have a fast start. I think things are completely different. I don't know. I like what A&M is doing. Trevor Knight's doing really good things down there. They're putting up a lot of points. I hate to say it, but I feel like Tennessee's got that lucky horse on their side right now. A top 10 matchup. It's going to be a fun game to watch, but I don't know. I just think it's Tennessee's year so far, and the confidence they have is going to carry them through this game.